Hello students, already we have started the solution topic for the competitive purpose, and in the last session we have discussed up to azeotropic mixtures. Now we will discuss another important concept, that is colligative property, which is very important for the competitive purpose. Most of the time they will ask a question on this colligative properties only. So a very simple trick is there for this one. Colligative property of the solution. So that colligative property, in short we write CPL, right? Okay, already we know that the vapor pressure of the solution is less than that of the pure solvent, because whenever a non-volatile solute is added to the solvent, its vapor pressure decreases. Already we have discussed that one. That is vapor pressure of pure solvent is P1 naught, and vapor pressure of solution is P1, I will write. So always we know that vapor pressure of the pure solvent is greater than the vapor pressure of the solution. So it means that whenever a non-volatile solute is added to the solvent, its vapor pressure decreases. That's it. So whenever a non-volatile solute is added to the solvent, its vapor pressure decreases. Now the decrease in the vapor pressure, this decrease in the vapor pressure, it depends only on the number of solute particles that are added to the solvent, irrespective of the nature of the solute particles. So decrease in the vapor pressure depends only on what? Number of solute particles. Here this decrease in the vapor pressure produced is directly proportional to the number of solute particles that are added to the solvent. This is very, very important, but not on the nature of the solute particle, but not on the nature of solute particle. Always you keep in mind, the decrease in the vapor pressure produced, that depends only on the number of solute particles. For example, suppose 1 mole of glucose is added to the 1 kg of water, that is a solvent and this is a solute. So this must be non-volatile solute. Non-volatile solute is nothing but the solid that is added to the liquid. This solid should not form any vapors. Then what happens? To the water you are adding solute, its vapor pressure decreases. The same thing, whenever 1 mole of urea is added to the 1 kg of water, again there is a decrease in the vapor pressure. You observe here, in the both the cases, the decrease in the vapor pressure produced is the same, because to the 1 kg of the water, 1 mole of solute is added in the both the cases here. So the number of particles added to the 1 kg of the water is same in both cases, so that the decrease in the vapor pressure produced in the both cases same here. So that is what the decrease in the vapor pressure produced, it depends only on the number of solid particles that are added to the solvent here. So this decrease in the vapor pressure produced, it is related to the so many properties of the solution. Those are called as colligative properties. Colligative properties are nothing but these are the properties of dilute solution, which depends only on the number of the solute particles, irrespective of the nature of the solute particle. So the property of the dilute solution, which depends only on the number of solute particles that are added to the solvent, such properties are called as what? Colligative properties. So here these colligative properties, they are applicable only for the dilute solution. First thing you keep in mind, they are applicable only for the dilute solution. Next point is, so the added solute must be non-volatile. They depend on number of solute particle, you will write, that depends only on the number of solute particle. Irrespective of the nature of solute particle, they depends only on the number of solute particle. So next point is the added solute must be non-volatile solute. The next very important point is the solute which is added to the solvent, it should not undergo any association or dissociation. So it should not undergo dissociation or association. The added solute must be non-electrolyte. So it should not undergo any dissociation or association. Okay, because if the added solute undergo dissociation, one particle become as two particle, or it may become as three particle, the number of particles increases here. If the solute undergo association, number of particle decreases here. So increase or decrease in the number of particle will change the colligative property values here, because colligative property depends on what? The number of solute particle. That's why always you keep in mind the added solute should not undergo dissociation or association to get the better result of these colligative properties. Okay, so we will write some examples of these colligative properties. Already people have studied these things in theory classes. That is, first one is relative lowering of vapor pressure, RLVP. Second one is elevation in the boiling point, that is delta TB. Third one is depression in the freezing point, that is delta TF. And the most important one is phi, that is osmotic pressure. All these colligative properties, they are depending on the number of the solute particles that are present in the solution here. Now we will discuss one by one. The first one will go for what? Relative lowering of the vapor pressure here. And another important point you keep in mind, the decrease in the vapor pressure produced, that is related to the boiling point and freezing point, this osmotic pressure. Okay, so here vapor pressure is inversely proportional to the boiling point. It is directly proportional to the freezing point of the solution, and it is inversely proportional to the osmotic pressure of the solution. This is inversely proportional to the relative lowering of vapor pressure, the decrease in the vapor pressure. Okay, so this is very important point for the competitive purpose. You have to remember this point. This is very important. With the help of this only you can easily explain all these colligative properties. Now we will explain one by one. So the first colligative property we are going to discuss is, that is relative lowering of vapor pressure. So already we know that for a solvent vapor pressure is very high as compared to the solution. So for solvent, vapor pressure of solvent, all right, vapor pressure of solvent, we will take it as P1 naught. Whenever a non-volatile solute is added, it becomes as a solution, then the vapor pressure of the solution decreases as compared to the pure solvent. So vapor pressure of the solution, I will take it as what? P1 here. From a solvent to the solution, there is a decrease in the vapor pressure, because whenever non-volatile solute is added to the solvent, its vapor pressure is decreased. From here to here, vapor pressure is decreased, so that always we know that vapor pressure of pure solvent is greater than what? Vapor pressure of the solution. So how much vapor pressure is decreased? By adding the solute to the solvent, that is called as what? Lowering of vapor pressure. Delta P we will take here. Delta P is nothing but difference between the vapor pressure of pure solvent and the solution. So the difference between these two is called as what? Delta P. Here delta P is nothing but lowering of vapor pressure, we call it as lowering of vapor pressure. So from the Raoult's law we know that P1 is equal to P1 naught X1, we can write here. So this delta P is equal to, we will write P1 naught minus P1 naught X1 Here you take P1 naught common. Delta P is equal to P1 naught into 1 minus X1, where X1 is the mole fraction of the solvent. And you take this P1 naught this side. This is delta P divided by P1 naught. Now, the difference, that is the ratio between the lowering of vapor pressure delta P to the vapor pressure of the pure solvent, this is called as relative lowering of vapor pressure. This is only your RLVP, we call it as. What it is? The ratio of lowering of vapor pressure to the vapor pressure of the pure solvent. This is relative lowering of vapor pressure. This is equal to 1 minus X1. I can write it as X2, because X1 plus X2 is equal to 1. So that I can write X2 is equal to what here? 1 minus X1. This is the mole fraction of the solute, will write. So this is equal to delta P divided by P1 naught is equal to X2 is nothing but what? N2 divided by N1 plus N2. So for very dilute solution, what happens? Number of moles of solute is neglected in the denominator. We will write it here. So for very dilute solution, what happens? Number of moles of solute is very less than number of moles of solvent. In that case, what happens? In the denominator, this N2 can be neglected. So what we can write here? Delta P divided by P1 naught is equal to N2 divided by N1. Number of moles of solute, number of moles of solvent it is. So this can be written as W2 by M2 into, this is what? Number of moles of solvent, W1 by M1. So that M1 comes in the numerator. So this is what? W1 here. So this is related to the solute. Always you keep in mind 2 corresponds to the solute and 1 corresponds to the solvent here. Weight of solute, molar mass of solute. Weight of solvent, molar mass of the solvent. So this relative lowering of vapor pressure, it is a colligative property which is used to calculate the molar mass of the solute. So by using this relation, you can calculate what? Molar mass of the solute here. So delta P divided by P1 naught is equal to W2 by M2 into M1 divided by W1. This is the molar mass of the solute, you can calculate here. So from this one, this is the colligative property which is inversely proportional to what? Molar mass. And already we know that this relative lowering of vapor pressure is nothing but colligative property which is directly proportional to the number of particles, and this is inversely proportional to the molar mass of the solute. So this is about the relative lowering of vapor pressure. By using this equation, you can calculate what? Molar mass of the solute here. Next one. So the next important colligative property is elevation in the boiling point, that is delta TB. Elevation in boiling point is what? Delta TB. Already we know that vapor pressure is inversely proportional to the boiling point here. First we will compare the boiling point of solution and solvent. What is this elevation in the boiling point? It is increase in the boiling point whenever a solute is added to the solvent. Solvent is having a lower boiling point. Whenever a solute is added to the solvent, what happens? Its vapor pressure decreases and boiling point increase here. So for solution, boiling point increase here. So how much amount of boiling point is increased by adding the solute to the solvent? That is called as what? Elevation in the boiling point, nothing but increase in the boiling point from the solvent to the solution it is. So for the solvent we write always vapor pressure of the solvent is what? Very high. So the boiling point of the solvent is low, and we will take TB naught as the boiling point of the solvent here. So if I take solution, whenever a non-volatile solute is added to the solvent, it becomes a solution. So for solution, vapor pressure decreases. As vapor pressure decreases, its boiling point will increase with respect to the solvent, and the boiling point of solution is taken as what? TB. So boiling point of solution is more as compared to the solvent. How much amount of boiling point is increased from solvent to the solution? The difference between the boiling point of solution and the boiling point of solvent. That is called as what? Elevation in the boiling point, that is nothing but delta TB. So delta TB is the difference between the boiling point of solution minus boiling point of this solvent it is. Now this elevation in the boiling point delta TB is directly proportional to the molality. So already we know what is molality, and if I remove this proportionality sign, I will get that constant that is called as Kb into molality. Kb is called as ebuloscopic constant here. Kb is called as ebuloscopic constant. Okay, molar elevation constant also it is called as, and the unit of Kb is, always you have to remember this one for comparative purpose also, and even in the problem you have to mention this unit. Kb is equal to, its unit is Kelvin kg per mole it is. Its unit is what? Kelvin kg per mole. Now you see here, if I write delta TB is equal to Kb into molality, if molality is equal to 1, if molality is equal to 1, then what happens here? Delta TB is equal to Kb. Kb is what here? Molar elevation constant. It is a constant for each and every liquid. This is nothing but it is the increase in the boiling point produced or elevation in the boiling point when 1 mole of solute is added to the 1 kg of the solvent. Then how much amount of boiling point is increased? That is called as what? Molar elevation constant, that is ebuloscopic constant it is. So here what happens here? For example, if I take water, 1 mole of solute is added to the 1 kg of water, 1 kg of the water. So what happens here? By adding 1 mole of solute to the 1 kg of the water, the boiling point of the water will increase here. How much amount of boiling point is increased? That is called as what? Molar elevation constant for the water. So Kb value for the water, we will write for water, Kb value is equal to 0.52 Kelvin kg per mole. It is per mole it is. Okay, so it means that whenever 1 mole of solute is added to the 1 kg of the water, its boiling point increases by 0.52 Kelvin kg per mole it is. So this is fixed for the water Kb value. For benzene you can write C6H6. Kb value for the benzene is 2.7 Kelvin kg per mole, we can write here. This is a per mole, we will write here. Okay, so that it means that whenever 1 mole of solute is added to the 1 kg of the benzene, its boiling point increases by 2.7 Kelvin. So that is constant for each individual liquid here. So this is what the meaning of Kb. Okay, now I will write the formula again. We know that here delta TB is equal to Kb into molality. You will substitute the value of molality here, that is the delta TB is equal to Kb into molality is what? W2 by m2 into 1000 divided by W1 in the grams. So this is the formula to calculate the molar mass of the solute. By using this colligative property also you can calculate the molar mass of the solute. This is the molality of the solute it is. Molality is nothing but it is the molality of the solute that is added to the solvent here. So this W2 and M2 they corresponds to what? Solute, and W1 is what? Mass of the solvent. Okay, in this one the next point is this Kb value. Already its unit we know that Kb value is given in terms of what? Always it is a kg it is. Okay, Kb value is always given in the kg, but in sometimes in the competitive exam they will give Kb value, it is always in terms of 1 kg it is, but in competitive exam sometimes they will give this Kb value as in terms of 100 gram. Kb value in terms of 100 gram, this is equal to 10 times of Kb value in the kg. So if a Kb value is given in terms of 100 grams, then you have to write the formula like this, that is delta TB is equal to Kb in 100 grams into W2 by M2 into 100 divided by W1 in a grams. So this is the formula whenever Kb is given in terms of grams, that is 100 grams they have given. Okay, this is just a notation, that is Kb 100 means it is given in terms of 100, so that it will be 10 times of Kb value that is in the Kg here. So this is one important point you have to remember here. And another relation, that is thermodynamically you can calculate this elevation in the boiling point, that is delta Tb is equal to gas constant into molar mass of the solvent into, that is the square of the boiling point of the solvent divided by 1000 into enthalpy of vaporization of the solvent, molar mass of solvent, boiling point of solvent, enthalpy of vaporization of the solvent. This is thermodynamic relation here. Now we'll draw the graph for this one. Graph for the delta Tb. Already we know that the boiling point is nothing but the particular temperature at which vapor pressure of the solution or the liquid it becomes equal to the 1 atmospheric pressure here. So if I draw the graph of a temperature in Kelvin versus vapor pressure, okay, suppose this is vapor pressure corresponds to the 1 atm. Any liquid you take, you go on heating, its vapor pressure go on increases, and at particular temperature its vapor pressure become equal to 1 atmospheric pressure, and that at that temperature a liquid starts boiling here. So if I take vapor pressure of the pure solvent, this is a P1 naught, and vapor pressure of the solution is P1. Vapor pressure of the solvent is always high as compared to the solution. So if you heat this solvent, its vapor pressure again increases, and at particular temperature it becomes as equal to the 1 atmospheric pressure. So the boiling point of this solvent, I will take it as TB naught it is. But if you heat this solution, it takes more time to reach 1 atmospheric pressure because its vapor pressure is less. You have to heat it to the more extent so that its vapor pressure become equal to 1 atmospheric pressure by supplying more amount of the heat. So this temperature is taken as what? The boiling point of the solution, that is Tb. So the difference between the boiling point of this solution and solvent, this is your delta Tb. Okay, this is the graph you have to remember here, and this is about that elevation in the boiling point, always you keep in mind. And this is also colligative property. Elevation in the boiling point is directly proportional to the number of particles, and it is again inversely proportional to the molar mass of the solute, always you keep in mind. So by using this formula you can calculate the molar mass of the solute that is added to the solvent. So this is about the elevation in the boiling point. Next one. So the next colligative property is depression in freezing point, that is delta Tf. This is also a very important colligative property here, which also depends on the number of solid particles that are present in the solution here. So already we know that this vapor pressure is directly proportional to the freezing point of the liquid. Okay, so now we will compare for the solvent and solute, that is solution. For a solvent, already we know that vapor pressure of the solvent is high as compared to the solution. Vapor pressure is high means the freezing point of the solvent is high. Freezing point of the solvent is taken as Tf naught here. For solution, whenever a non-volatile solute is added to the solvent, it becomes a solution, its vapor pressure decreases. Vapor pressure decreases means its freezing point also decreases. Freezing point decrease means for solution we take the freezing point as Tf here. So which is having highest freezing point here? Tf naught. For example, pure solvent I will take water. Pure solvent water is taken. So this water on cooling it freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. Its freezing point is what? At 0 degrees Celsius it will freeze. Suppose some non-volatile solute is added to water, that is water plus non-volatile solute, it becomes as solution. So this solution on cooling, it will not freeze at 0 degree Celsius. Here this water become ice at 0 degree Celsius only, but in case of solution, whenever that solute is added to the water, it will not freeze at 0 degree Celsius. Its freezing point decreases. It may become solid, or it may freezes at a negative temperature, at a temperature of lower than the freezing point of the water here. So here freezing point is decreased. So freezing point of solution is less as compared to the freezing point of the water here. So here freezing point decreases, it will become solid in the negative temperature. So this is what we call it as freezing point. Freezing point of water is higher temperature. Freezing point of the solution is what? Lower temperature. So freezing point is high, freezing point is low. Negative temperature, and this is at what? Somewhat higher temperature here. So what is the delta TF now? That is the depression in the freezing point. Nothing but decrease in the freezing point. The difference between the freezing point of the solvent and the freezing point of the solution is called as what? That is depression in the freezing point. For solvent, we take it as TF naught, which is higher than the freezing point of the solution. The difference between these two, we take it as what? Depression in the freezing point. Again, this depression in the freezing point, delta TF, is directly proportional to the molality only. So if I remove this proportionality constant, I will get a Kf as a constant, and here this is again molality. If proportionality sign is removed, you will get a constant, that is Kf. This Kf is called as cryoscopic constant. Cryoscopic constant we call it as, or else it is also called as molar depression constant. Molar depression constant here. So here this Kf value is a constant for each and every liquid. Delta TF is equal to Kf into molality if molality of the solute is equal to 1. M value become as 1. Then what happens? The depression in the freezing point produced become equal to the cryoscopic constant. So Kf is nothing but it is the depression in the freezing point produced when 1 mole of the solute is added to the that is 1 kg of the solvent here. When 1 mole of solute is added to the 1 kg of solvent. So how much is depression in the freezing point? That is called as what? Kf value. For example, if you take Kf value for water is equal to, this is I think it is 1.86 Kelvin kg per mole. It is 1.86 Kelvin kg per mole. So now we will write the formula for this one. This is already we know that delta TF is equal to Kf into molality, and here this molality value you can substitute here. Delta TF is equal to Kf into, this is a W2 by M2 into 1000 divided by mass of the solvent in a grams it is. So by using this depression in freezing point formula, you can calculate what? Molar mass of the solute here. Okay. So already we know that this, what is Kf value? Kf value is nothing but that is depression in the freezing point produced when 1 mole of solute is added to the 1 kg of the solvent. Suppose if you add 1 mole of solute to the 1 kg of the water, its freezing point decreases by 1.86 Kelvin it is. That's what. Okay. Now here again important point you have to concentrate here, that is sometimes in the competitive exam this Kf value they will give in terms of grams here. Already we know that this Kf value is in terms of 1 kg it is. In competitive exam they will give in terms of 100 gram. Then if it is given in terms of 100 gram, this will be 10 times of Kf value, that is in the kg here. So that's why whenever Kf value is given in the 100 grams, delta TF value can be written as delta TF is equal to Kf in 100 grams into W2 by M2 into 100 divided by W1 in grams. So this is the formula you have to use if Kf value is given in terms of 100 grams. Next, by using thermodynamic terms also you can calculate this depression in the freezing point. That is delta Tf is equal to gas constant R, molar mass of the solvent M1, then the freezing point of the solvent, that is Tf naught square divided by 1000 into enthalpy of fusion of the pure solvent. So this is the formula here. Okay, these all the terms are for a solvent only. Enthalpy of fusion for the solvent, molar mass of the solvent, freezing point of the solvent. Okay, this is the gas constant R value. So these are the different formulas which are used to calculate what? Depression in the freezing point, as well as to calculate the molar mass of the solute here. I will draw the graph for this depression in freezing point. Now we will draw the graph for depression in the freezing point. Already we know that vapor pressure is directly proportional to the freezing point. So the liquid which is having highest vapor pressure freezes at higher temperature, lowest vapor pressure freezes at the lower temperature here. So if I draw the graph of vapor pressure along y-axis and this temperature along x-axis, this temperature is taken in terms of Kelvin here. In this direction temperature increase and here temperature decrease here. So first we will take one solvent. Solvent is cooled. So whenever the solvent is cooled, it will freeze at a particular temperature. Readily it will freeze because its vapor pressure is high. Okay, then at higher temperature only it will freeze. Its freezing point is taken as Tf naught. Suppose if you take solution, whenever a solution is taken, its vapor pressure is lower than that of the pure solvent, hence it must be cooled to the lowest temperature, then only it will freeze like this. So this is the temperature at which your solution will freeze here. And here already solvent is freezed means this is this curve, it is having frozen solvent. Okay, now the difference between the freezing point of this solvent and the solution, this is called as what? Delta Tf here. And another point you remember here, delta Tf is directly proportional to the number of particles. Already we know this one because it is being colligative property, and then it is inversely proportional to the molar mass. Okay, next one. So the next colligative property is osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure, this also colligative property. The symbol for this one is phi. So before knowing the osmotic pressure, you should know what is a semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane, that is SPM. This semi-permeable membrane which allows only the solvent molecules to pass through it, but not the solute particles or the impurities that are present in the solution. So this is one type of membrane which allows only the movement of solvent molecules through it, like water molecules, but it will not allow the movement of solute particles or any impurities that are present in the solution. So this is which allows movement of only solvent molecules through it, but not solute particles, but not solute or impurities through it. So this semi-permeable membrane, it is having some microscopic spores in that one, which allows only the movement of water molecules or the solvent molecules, but always you keep in mind, no solute particles or impurities, they are passing through the semi-permeable membrane. So the some of the example for this semi-permeable membrane are pig's bladder, or you can take it as a parchment membrane, or you can take it as a cellophane or cellulose acetate. So these are the some semi-permeable membranes which allows only the solvent molecules to pass through it here. Now you will take, suppose a pure solvent and a dilute solution, they are separated by a semi-permeable membrane like this. This is your semi-permeable membrane, and here you will take a pure solvent like water, and here we have taken what? Dilute solution. Whenever a pure solvent and a dilute solution, they are separated by a semi-permeable membrane, then solvent molecule moves from solvent to the solution side here. The movement of these solvent molecules from the solvent to the solution side through the semi-permeable membrane, this is called as osmosis. We call it as what it is? Osmosis. Always osmosis takes place from the lower concentration to the higher concentration. You keep in mind, pure solvent, dilute solution, concentration is more and concentration is less. Always the solvent molecules will move from what? Lower to the higher concentration. So movement of solvent molecules. Always you keep in mind, here always they will move from what? Solvent to dilute solution, and they will move from lower concentration to the higher concentration, or you can take dilute solution to the concentrated solution. This is what always they will move from lower to higher concentration, and this process is called as what? Osmosis, we call it as. Okay, now we'll discuss osmotic pressure. So what is osmotic pressure? Osmotic pressure is nothing but, already we know that whenever solvent and a solution, they are separated by a semi-permeable membrane, solvent molecules will move from the solvent to the solution side. So if I take this one as a semi-permeable membrane, so which is separating a pure solvent and the solution. So this is your semi-permeable membrane. So here pure solvent is taken, that is water, and here we take some solution. Okay, this is pure solvent and this is what? Pure solution. We know that these solvent molecules will move from solvent to the solution side. That process is called as osmosis. Now what is osmotic pressure? The pressure with which these solvent molecules will move from solvent to the solution side, that is called as what? Osmotic pressure, we call it as. Osmotic pressure is the pressure with which these solvent molecule will move from solvent to the solution side, that is osmotic pressure, but which cannot be measured directly. So in order to measure this osmotic pressure, what we are doing is we will apply some external pressure on the solution side. We have to apply what? Some external pressure on the solution side. Whenever this external pressure is increased, the movement of solvent molecules from solvent to the solution side decreases, because here we are increasing the external pressure. Whenever this pressure is applied, the movement of these solvent molecules from solvent to the solution side slowly it decreases here. And again the external pressure is increased. At particular pressure, the movement of these solvent molecules from solvent to the solution side, it will stop. The pressure at which the movement of solvent molecules from solvent to the solution side, it decreases or it stops. That pressure is taken as what? That external pressure is taken as osmotic pressure here. The external pressure that must be applied on the solution side to prevent the osmosis, we can call it as. Osmosis is these solvent molecules, they are moving from the solvent to the solution side. So in order to stop this one, we are applying some external pressure. So that external pressure, when it become equal to the osmotic pressure, that is called as what? The pressure at which these solvent molecules will stop moving here. That pressure is taken as what? Osmotic pressure, that is equal to phi here. So external pressure is equal to phi, that is what? Osmotic pressure, we call it as. So here, whenever P external pressure is less than osmotic pressure, external pressure is less than the pressure with which these solvent molecules are moving from solvent to the solution side, then osmosis takes place. Solvent molecules will move from solvent to the solution side. So osmosis takes place here. Osmosis takes place. Solvent molecules will move from solvent to the solution side. This is osmosis. This is what the regular trend, that is osmosis, will take place. Suppose the external pressure applied become equal to the pressure with which these solvent molecules are moving from solvent to the solution side. Applied pressure and this pressure, these two become equal, means what happens? Then there is no movement of solvent molecules from solvent to the solution side. So here no osmosis will take place. So this is nothing but the external pressure that is applied to stop the osmosis, to stop the movement of solvent molecules. So here there is no movement of solvent molecules from solution to solvent or solvent to the solution side. Next very important condition is, whenever the P external applied is greater than the pressure with which these solvent molecules are moving from solvent to the solution side, then what happens? External pressure is still higher than this osmotic pressure. What happens? The solvent molecules from solution side, they will be squeezed out towards what? Solvent side here. Okay, so these solvent molecules, then they will move in the reverse direction from here to here it is. So that is called as what? Reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis, that is nothing but your RO system, which is used for the purification of drinking water. That is what we call it as reverse osmosis, is nothing but RO system here. In this case, what happens? The solvent molecules will be squeezed out from the solution to the solvent side. That is nothing but this is reverse osmosis takes place here. So this is what the condition in which solvent molecule move from solvent to solution side, and the movement of solvent molecule will stop, and the solvent molecule move from solution to the solvent side here. This is in the reverse direction is reverse osmosis, and the regular trend direction is what? This is the osmosis, we call it as. Now you know that osmotic pressure, we'll write the formula here. This osmotic pressure phi, it is directly proportional to the concentration at particular temperature. Here concentration C is nothing but molarity here. What it is? C is nothing but molarity, nothing but number of moles of solute present in the 1 liter of the solution. If you remove this proportionality sign, we will get phi is equal to, R is the gas constant, you will get phi is equal to RCT. What is C here? That is the concentration, nothing but R into N2 by volume in liter into temperature. So this is the formula to calculate what? Osmotic pressure. So this can also be written as phi is equal to, what is the number of moles of solute here? Mass of solute divided by molar mass of solute into volume of the solution in the liter, that is 1 by volume in the liter, and this R and T as it is you can write here. So this is the formula to calculate what? Osmotic pressure, as well as this formula is used to calculate what? Molar mass of the solute. So this is used to calculate molar mass of the solute here. So here R value is 0.083 liter bar per mole per Kelvin it is. So this is what the R value, and this is about osmotic pressure, that is phi value. So this also colligative property, which is phi is directly proportional to the number of particles, and it is inversely proportional to the molar mass of the solute. Always you keep in mind, among the colligative properties, the magnitude of phi value, the magnitude of this colligative property is always higher as compared to other colligative properties. And another thing is relative lowering of vapor pressure, elevation in the boiling point, and depression in freezing point, all are directly proportional to the molality. Only this osmotic pressure phi, this is directly proportional to the molarity will take. The concentration term what we use is molarity here, and this is specially used to calculate the molar mass of the biomolecules or macromolecules like proteins, polymers, okay, and all these biomolecules. For them the molar mass is calculated by using what? Osmotic pressure, this colligative property here. Okay.